Hello YouTube, my name is Billy and welcome back to my kitchen. Tonight I'm going to do comfort food, but it's going to be a little bit lighter. The holidays are over and this is going to be my second video with lighter food, and the rest of this week, maybe next week, we're going to try to get some lighter stuff in just so we can shed a few pounds. We're going to do a baked spaghetti squash, some salmon, and some Caesar salad. So we're going to go ahead and start by preparing the spaghetti squash. And you're going to get your oven to 350 degrees. And then you're going to want a pretty sharp knife. And then you're just going to take be very careful. Okay, now that we've got that over with, set that aside and just get a spoon. And if you look closely, it's basically going to be like cleaning out the inside of a pumpkin, and you're just going to go around gently to loosen all that up, and you're going to scoop out all of those guts. Now you could keep the seeds and toast them in the oven or on a skillet, and they're very much like pumpkin seeds. You can stop. I'll get closer. Okay, now that we've got the squash hollowed out and cleaned up pretty well, we're going to take a glass baking dish, or if you don't have one, just any baking dish. And you're going to put just enough water in the bottom so they don't stick or burn. You don't want these to burn. Alright, we're going to set those upside down inside the water. Okay, and then we're going to put those in the oven. For 30 to 45 minutes. I'm going to set the timer to 30 and then I'll check it. But usually, for a squash that size, it's gonna be close to 45 minutes. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, we've got 4 salmon fillets that we're gonna be working with tonight, and I'm gonna do these 2 different ways. Salmon is one of those incredibly versatile fish. It's very rich in flavor, but it's also very versatile. Salmon and probably yellow or bluefin tuna are probably just a few of your fishes that you can do a lot with. And I mean, like, you have limitless options, because salmon and tuna, they like sweet, they like salty, they like savory, and you could mix any one of those combinations up together. Now for the baked ones, I'm gonna take just a pan and I've lined it with foil. And then I've got 2 additional pieces of aluminum foil, and then I'm just gonna take just two like small shavings of butter, and I'm gonna put those right down in the center. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna take the salmon, skin side down, right on the butter. That's just so it doesn't stick. Okay, we're just gonna season these with just a little bit of salt and pepper. Okay, and then we're gonna create a little pouch. Fold that in on the ends, and then bring these two ends up so they meet, and then just kind of use your fingers and crimp them until it's tight. And it's just basically gonna steam inside of that little packet. Now this one, I'm just gonna do salt a little bit. This one is just for our little dog, so we're gonna skip the pepper. We like to treat her from time to time. Normally she eats a lot of chicken, but ever so often she gets tired of chicken, so we try to change it up. Okay, so that's good. Now these are gonna go in the oven with the squash for about 30 minutes, and they'll be perfect when they come out. Now for mine, I'm gonna do mine in the cast iron skillet. And all I'm gonna do with mine is I'm gonna take a little country Dijon mustard. This is nice because it's not hot. It's sweet and it's got a smoky, savory flavor. And salmon is one of those fish that you can put just about anything on. I'm just gonna put a little bit on each one. And then I'm just gonna rub that in there really good. Now I'm not gonna cook mine until the very end, because if you grill these or cook these on a cast iron skillet, they only take about, for fillets this small, probably 1 to 2 minutes for each side. So in 4 or 5 minutes, you have a perfectly done piece of fish that is just packed with flavor and goodness. Okay, and I'm just gonna let that set just to absorb some of those flavors while the rest of that is cooking. So we're gonna just leave that there for now. Okay, we only have a few minutes left before this squash is ready. So while I'm waiting on that, I've already got some romaine lettuce, and I've just chopped that up. Tossed in just a sprinkle of Parmesan cheese, and I'm gonna do a little bit of Caesar dressing. And then I'm just gonna toss that up. with some tongs. Okay, and now we're just gonna set that aside. Now I went ahead and I've taken the salmon out, and we're gonna be very careful and unwrap these. Now be careful when you're unwrapping these packets because the steam is going to start gushing out and you don't want to burn yourself. Now you'll know when your salmon is done. You can just take a fork and it should be firm, but it'll start flaking apart really easily. And this one doesn't matter because it's just going to, that's what you want. You see how nice and... This is the one I'm giving to the dog, so it's going to be chopped up anyway. And it's perfect. Just nice, it's firm, but flaky. And it just fall right apart. All right, you guys stop. Okay, now for my salmon, we're going to take this over here to the cast iron skillet. And I've already got the heat to medium. And you're going to take just a little bit of olive oil, just enough to coat the pan. You're going to let that get hot just for a second. It doesn't take long with olive oil because it's very, very... Okay, and then you're going to take these pieces. When you hear that sizzle, you know your pan is ready. Now that's going to sit on there for about 2 to 3 minutes on each side. It's going to be perfect. Okay, now that our squash is done, be very careful so you don't burn yourself. All right, and now you're gonna want a large bowl. Get some tongs. Be very careful when you turn those over because there's going to be a lot of steam coming off of those. Okay, now you're going to take a fork and probably another small bowl. Alright, now watch very closely because this is so easy. Take your fork. Go down and start twisting just the way you would pasta. And you get these lovely little strands. I don't know if you can see that. You get these lovely little strands and it's just like eating an al dente pasta. No carbs. Comfort food with no carbs. Now you could, when you get this all done, you could drizzle this with a little bit of olive oil or a little pat of butter, a little bit of salt, pepper, a little bit of Parmesan cheese, or you could do your favorite pasta sauce, which is what we're going to do. We're going to do Alfredo. Look at that. That's why it's called spaghetti squash. Sometimes it's really hard to want to eat healthy when it's cold outside like it is now. But if you can find unique little tricks like the spaghetti squash or a few other things. That way you still get that taste and flavor of your comfort food that are really rich and fatty, but without all the fatty. And you don't also you don't have to do the water. You could actually drizzle a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper that way and pop it in the oven. But I like to do the water because they don't burn. And ooh, that's good. And they don't dry out. So the water keeps them really nice and moist and tender. All right, you can stop. Okay, these have been going for about 3 minutes on the skin side. Now you want to be very careful because this is a very delicate piece of fish. And you're just gonna want to kind of flip that over. Now it's not going to cook quite so long on the meat side down. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. The skillet's plenty hot. And I'm just going to let that cook for another minute or two. Just like skin side down, and it'll be just as tender and flaky as it was when I baked it in the oven. Doing it in the cast iron skillet gives you that nice char, which is very similar to grilling it. So, like if you're indoors because it's cold out, you know, just break out your cast iron skillets. You still get some of those amazing, you know, grilled flavor. All right. Now for the other one. Be very careful. Those are incredibly hot because there's a lot of steam down inside these pockets. You can stop. Okay, once my salmon are done, I'm going to lay those on a plate to let them rest, and then we're going to come over here and start making our plates. You're just going to take the spaghetti squash, and then whatever pasta sauce you like. We're gonna do Alfredo tonight, and we're just gonna pour that right over the top, and there you go. That's it.